we're back. Hi, y'all. I'm Ariel Jade.
And I'm Renee.
And we are
Shootin' the Shit.
We are coming at you live out of Studio X Nash in the historic RCA Victor Studios in Music Row. And this is our 4th episode of Shootin' the Shit show. I'm excited to be here again with you, Renee.
I'm so excited.
We've got some good shit, some hot shit, some cool shit, some really cool guests.
Prine.
Old Nashville, new Nashville. So let's dive straight into some good shit. And I am going to be a little partial when I put this in my good shit segment, but it's because I want to tell you guys about my debut album that I have had the honor of writing, producing with Wood Newton, who is how we met.
Yes.
Sweet Wood. And if you guys did not catch episode 2, Wood Newton was our very first special guest. Gave us a really cool tour of RCA Victor. Go check that out if you haven't. But anyway, so we have written a 10-piece album, New Old Country. It'll be my debut album, which I am releasing independently. And it's called Honky Tonic. So it's got some real shit on there. You know, going through this brutal divorce for years. It's given me a lot of fuel for, writing hard shit and writing. I mean,
real hard shit.
Yeah. And writing for you too, it's healing. A lot of, songwriters, that's when we can come up with a song and it just flows out of us. Unfortunately, most of the time that comes from a place of pain.
Mm-hmm. And Nashville's a storytelling town. It's a songwriter's town, and authenticity requires that you dissect your soul.
Yeah. Dig deep
and set it to music. I mean, it's therapeutic. We write to save ourselves.
Make art. Make art from the pain,
That's what
right?
Art is.
It is.
That's the beauty
that
of art.
expression. Yeah. So Wood has helped me get through a lot of this healing through writing, and we've gotten a lot done with this album. But we've got some fun shit on there too. Some silly shit,
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And anyway, so that will be out December 10th. 2024, so, which also is my birthday, and I figured as an independent artist it was the best gift I could give myself to go ahead and get it out into the world. So
one thing I'm looking forward to interject is we're going to be talking about badass women today. We're going to be talking about game-changing women, old Nashville, new Nashville, how real music and authenticity, it's timeless. And we're going to be talking about the women who've affected that kind of thing. We're going to have a guest today, this band.
Oh, they're bringing that timeless sound into new, and that's and doing, I call it new old country.
Yes,
there's songs that were not a nod to Dolly Parton, a song that's a nod to Loretta Lynn, because that timeless sound, that just raw, real, genuine music.
It takes me back to when I started in 1982 at the age of 17, and how relevant it was then, and where women were then, as far as leading the way forward, and how it all ties together with today, because it's timeless and it's classic and it's great.
And I say Stevie Nicks, we both adore Stevie Nicks, icon.
She's my alter ego. I live vicariously through her. I love the name of your album, by the way, because it completely...
Tonic.
Well, you were talking about old and new.
I'm so excited to share my debut album with you guys, and I think we did really good on time. So sweet. Renee, I'm gonna pass it off to you now.
So there's a lot of female artists that are so badass that I think are hot shit, but today I want to talk about one that I especially admire, not just because she's a badass artist musically.
Vocalist.
She can do anything, and her impersonations are incredible. But I love SNL. Do we love SNL?
Oh,
thank God for
you gotta
SNL.
love SNL. If the answer to that is no, you do not have the humor taste for us. So,
and you remember a long, long time ago, it used to be Justin Timberlake was on there all the time. Mm-hmm. Well, today Ariana Grande is a regular on SNL, and she is so hysterical. A great, great, great actor. I love her impersonations. But anyway, she recently did a skit with Bo and Yang, and it was hysterical. I won't go into the details of that, but he just recently, the hot shit is that he apologized to her. He felt so bad because there was a scene where he kissed her, and we all know Bowen is gay. But anyway, he gave her an open mouth kiss that lasted, maybe it was a little too aggressive and lasted a little longer than it should have. So he felt so bad about that. And they were on an interview show and he publicly apologized to Ariana. She's such a badass. She immediately disarmed him, put him at ease, and said, that's what the scene called for or whatever. You know, I thought it was perfect. And she just healed his heart because he was really worried about that. Oh my God, I overdid
Which makes
it.
me adore him more.
I know. I love him so much. Oh
But-
my God.
And Ariana has such, like, we're talking about how talented she is vocally, I have to say. She is probably one of my favorite singers currently anyway.
Insane.
She, like, the range that woman has.
Any female vocalist she can impersonate, and probably some males too.
Insane.
The girl is uber talented, just crazy.
Yeah.
And she's
so good.
in a movie that was just released. And
Wicked, right?
yeah, she has. And
other badass women
and
as well.
I love wicked women. Just wicked. Like wicked good.
Hell yeah.
Wicked great.
So, talking about hot shit, badass, wicked women, we also are looking at some, from the old
The
the
guard.
greats.
Yeah.
to the new and upcoming, fresh, different,
And the old that's still relevant today,
and
because great music is timeless.
and so impactful, right? So, like, with my album, being a new old country, I'm wanting to keep alive that vintage sound, that timeless sound,
but bring it forward.
bring it forward, bring
Yeah.
it into the now. Yeah, so new old country songs,
I love
right?
that.
And we're seeing this with a lot of newer artists. They're bringing that timeless sound
Mm-hmm.
into new music, and I absolutely adore it. Like,
And I love how you keep me relevant. You know, I've gone through being a native Nashvilleian and coming up in this industry for over 40 years. And then when Nashville started really booming and skyrocketing over the last 10 to 20 years, there's been this rhetoric among the old guard of not liking new Nashville and all the progress and everything. But I feel like it's both. Old Nashville, new Nashville, and the harmony, and we marry it together because we're not just the country music we're the music capital of the world.
yeah.
And I love how you bring the new old,
Well,
and I bring the old new.
I was about to say that you have, like, shown me things and told me things, and I'm just like, oh, that context and the, like, richness, and how I can see how that has impacted, the music industry or songwriting or whatever. It's
And you
like,
keep me relevant because you turn me on to
good.
all the new music, and it's
Like-
not just country.
like, ooh,
We're multi-genre here.
We
We're the music
are.
capital. It's not just country anymore. But
no,
when I was coming up, it was.
yeah, because people think Nashville are country music. Now, this is, if you want to make it in country music, you want to do country music, this is where you come.
But even in the 60s, we had the king of rock and roll in this building
Yep,
recording.
yep.
Okay?
So, and speaking
It's
of rock
always
and roll,
been multi-genre, even though so many of the old guard deny that. But go ahead.
well, I was going to say, and speaking of rock and roll,
And the
we're-
Everly Brothers.
we're gonna have a newer band, Nashville based. We do original music, and
They're so bad.
they are rock. They are rock and roll. We were talking about
They're the real deal.
Stevie Nicks earlier, and I feel
Oh
like
my
the
gosh.
lead singer, it has kind of her vibe a little bit.
When I took a deep dive into them and listening to her, it was so reminiscent of where I started at 17. I was singing AC/DC and all the good
good
stuff back
stuff.
then, before I transitioned into
That-
touring in country.
Yeah, that vintage sound. It's just it's so good.
And I grew up so country, so that was kind of my rebel.
that was your
my
rebel
wicked-
phase. Was the
Yeah,
rock and roll?
I was 17, for goodness sake. So
Oh, that-
it
just
took
like
me back
Elvis
there.
was a rebel,
But she
Just
brought
rock and
me
roll.
forward because this is so relevant for today. How
Mhm.
because it's great music.
Well, and guys, so we're not going to keep you in suspense any longer. So I'm going to go grab the band. Renee and I, since this will be our first full band, Renee and I will actually be standing off camera because we have the whole band here to talk to you guys today. And after we do a really cool interview with them, we are then going to go over to Eddie Gore's Studio C and do a full filming of a few of their original songs for you guys, which will be on part 2 of this episode. So
have
You ready for
chills.
this interview?
I have chills.
I'm so excited. And stay tuned for the part 2 live music.
You are so going to love this.
So guys, we finally got y'all here.
Finally.
Too
It's
hot
about time.
for leather.
Yeah.
So excited to have y'all here. Y'all are based here in Nashville. Do y'all have normal gigs that we can kind of find y'all around town?
I mean, yeah, we perform on Broadway weekly, so you can always catch us down there, and we post about that on our social medias and everything. But, you know, as for like our original music, we perform all the time here and there. We travel sometimes it's local. So, I mean, we always post about it on our website. If you ever, you know,
which
wanna
is
come around, toohotforleather.com.
Sweet.
The good
What's
stuff.
nice and easy to remember.
Easy.
I know, right? You gotta
touring.
make it easy for the people. It's too complicated nowadays.
So do y'all do a lot of original music?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's our main focus, is getting our music and our words and sound out to everybody. And Broadway might give us the covers and like the fun stuff that everybody's heard. I think it's time for everybody to hear us.
It funds us so we can make money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It definitely.
It's our night
for our
day
record.
job
It's,
to make this happen.
Yeah, original music is the dream. I mean, yeah, the cover stuff has been great to us, and Broadway has given us this opportunity to play on the regular and learn how to play with each other.
Yes.
And that's something that I think a lot of bands don't get the opportunity to do, or they just don't realize that that's an opportunity. So we don't want to do that for the rest of our lives, but it's been a great way to develop that and to develop the chemistry that makes it easier for us to then put our original music together.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, you know, playing in the cover band aspect gives us we start off from a point of being professional, you know, the relationship starts professional, and then it just makes it so easy to seamlessly transition into writing music together.
Yeah.
So do y'all write a lot of your music as a group, as a band?
Yeah.
We usually meet at his house once a week, and we don't really have a plan, which is really cool, is because we sit there. It's like, hey, I have this cool riff. Okay, then we work through that riff and the song. Kind of, it might happen in one day. It might happen in like 3 weeks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think our first song that we wrote was in like 20 minutes. I swear to God,
It
was really
quick.
cool.
It came together really quick, and then we were kind of just sitting there like, wow, that was really fun. And that one's not even out yet, so that one's coming very soon. But
That's something we'll get to look
Not
forward to.
oh yeah, that one's in our. We're saving that one in our bucket for a little bit later.
So real quick, from a songwriter standpoint, here we have tons of songwriters come in, artists, producers, but y'all are actually our first group.
Very honored. Cool.
You guys coming in though, Nashville-based rock band, recording original music, releasing original music, starting to tour with some original music. Where do you think your songs mainly come from? Like, is it life experience? Do y'all kind of pick topics? Does it come from y'all talking and it just kind of comes out? Like, how do y'all songs come up?
That's a great question. I honestly, for me, I feel like it's a combination of all of the things you just said. I think a big way that we get our like ideas and stuff down is we end up taking like little vacations out of Nashville away and just like book an Airbnb or something. Yeah, unplug, get away from it a little bit. We'll kind of like store some ideas and like voice memos, song ideas and things like that in our notes and stuff, and then we'll compile it all and come together during these like little trips, and we'll sit there and just kind of flush through some ideas. What do we like, what do we not? And a lot of the times that can come from one idea. Might be one line that is inspired by a life experience, but then we're like, okay, here's the topic, let's
starting with a hook.
elaborate on
Just
it
a
a little
hook.
bit. Yeah. So, and then there's other times where one of us comes with a full-fledged song, and we're just like, we just have to fine-tune a couple things here and there, and that's happened on a couple occasions. So
A couple times.
yeah, so it really kind of is a mixture of all of them, in my opinion, I think.
John, who do you think is the most adamant personality when it comes to y'all's songwriting groups? Who's like, I really want to go this direction? Who really kind of tries to set that?
In terms of like in the group, like who kind of like
Well, y'all
organizes the
group write as a
ideas?
band.
I'd say most of the ideas flow through this dude right here, Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Simple smile
yeah.
there, Kevin. Love it.
For sure.
I
Yeah,
worked on it
that's
really hard.
Yeah, no, I mean, we write at Kevin's house when we're not at the cabin. We go over there and have these little mini writing sessions, opposed to like the slogs at these cabins where it's really kind of a 9 to 5 kind of thing, which is really, for me personally, it's really good because it helps me organize how I work on stuff. But yeah, no, we typically go to Kevin's house and like I'll come in with a riff, or Ryan will come with a riff. He'll come in with some lyric ideas, and then Kevin will just help us track it right there, just kind of a rough thing. And sometimes they'll be like, oh, here's this, really simple keyboard part that somehow makes the song makes the song sound 10 times better, And so yeah, it's.
So y'all come in and y'all go ahead, Kevin, you're able to go ahead and kind of track a songwriter demo day of.
So they're really cool about just letting me kind of turn into mad scientists, and it's just like.
What do you work in? What DAW do you work in?
Logic.
Okay.
But I've got a desk at home, and I've got a MIDI keyboard, mic set up and everything. Just very simple, but something that gets the best possible sounds just right out of the gate. Something simple. So I got good mic emulators and whatnot for the technical side. But then for the musical angle of things, it's more just like I get personally really exhausted by those, just because it really is just like they've been so gracious to let me kind of just sit there and ideas just kind of like flow in and just get scrambled around, and then just they go up into Logic, and if they have an idea, it's like, hey, let's try this. It's like, all right, let's get it down, let's organize it, let's see what it's going to kind of sound like in the mix, so we can kind of do a little bit of the pre-production there and then. That's as well, awesome. To save time down the road.
I know if you'll ever go into the direction of majors or labels, they'll really appreciate that too, just the fact that y'all have a really solid direction going. So we got lyrics and riff mans. Ryan, do you often just bring like a fucking sick ass guitar riff and you're like, hey, let's use this, guys, and then turn your amp up really loud like the guitarist does?
For these first set of songs, it was kind of that vibe. Come in like, hey, like show me what you got. It's like, this is cool. And came in there, it's like, okay, and then I had this idea with it, and the whole band comes in like, let's add this shit, cool. But when I come in, because I'm not a lyric guy, I've never been lyrics. I leave it to Shannon and Kevin.
Because lyrics suck, man. They're so hard.
Well,
oh my god,
mine just don't make
Words
sense.
Words are big hard.
I can just say like, this is cool. Be like, the science behind this is really cool. Like they just, I don't know what I'm trying to say with that. I hate words, so I'm like, here's this riff.
Valid.
Valid. And I'm better with melodies.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a couple songs that I brought to them. I was like, hey, I have a melody that I want to bring
up. Hook.
Yeah.
But
my words are like
like
that.
Evolving lyrics into verses and stuff like that is so hard. Honestly, there's very, very, very few people in the world who truly enjoy that process 100% of the time. If not anybody, and have an ear for it. That's hard.
You're talking
Your
about
hooks are great.
Where the music like comes from and stuff like that. Like, where's the inspiration for it? And I think for the first, this release cycle that we're on right now, a lot of it is very mood based. We were just in different moods when we were writing. And I think now
writing is expression. Music is expression.
And we're getting more into now, I think, writing about very specific, whether it's stories or getting a little more specific emotionally, a little bit more direct on that too, instead of being more broad brush painting, which is really exciting because I feel like it's gonna like really connect with certain, like, people can draw connections to that kind of stuff.
I know that I've been following y'all's recent releases, and those of y'all listening out there, watching out there, if you have not gone to toohotforleather.com, they've got all of their Spotify, Apple Music, all the things linked. They've got some really cool music videos out. Hilarious social media skips. If you're not following them on social media, you need to.
We like to make fun of John.
Talking about it coming from moods and it coming, being just a genuine expression. Like, you guys do really well with that, and I feel like that's a point. Like, just watching y'all talk and y'all interact. You may bring a melody, you may bring a riff, you may bring an idea, you may hear something. You're like, this mix, I need this texture or whatever. It would not be what it becomes. Too Hot for Leather would not be Too Hot for Leather without each and every one of you contributing. 100%. And that is something that I feel like a lot of bands, old Nashville, new Nashville, doesn't matter. It's hard to find people that you really can trust in that creative process with and collaborate. So, just as a quick tip before we move on to another topic, what would a little tidbit of advice be for any bands starting out on just working together and hearing each other out? Like, what would you say? It can be a very practical, it can be very wide brush strokes, or very, very fine, whatever.
If you find your people, hang on to them for dear life.
That I was gonna
Hell
say
yeah.
the vibe matters.
Yes.
Almost
Vibe
most
check.
importantly.
Yes.
Like, yes, of course you want to make sure you're on the same like level and page professionally. Then like you have similar goals. Like that's very important. But even more, before you even get to that conversation, like you got to mesh as people. So your vibe, like if you don't do this, it's not gonna work. Like it's just not. Even if it works for a little bit, it's a facade, and if it doesn't really like just connect
Like
at
any
the core.
relationship, chemistry and wavelength.
It matters the most. It truly does.
I do think another piece of advice I would give, and in addition to that, that's obviously extremely important and probably a good foundation. But a thing that I think also gives us a lot of strength as a group is we realize that this is also our job. You know, it's so easy when you're in a band setting like this and people that are your friends, your very close friends, to kind of forget that at the end of the day, this is a business, and this is something that you need to treat like a business. And like we really haven't had any disputes I can really think of, but you know, whenever we have, it's very much we're just talking about it and no one gets too upset about anything. And that really does help, because you know, whenever there's like a situation with just business related stuff, we're very good at kind of delegating who does what. No one really has a huge ego when it comes to certain elements of the business.
Yeah.
And it really is keeping it as a professional relationship that you're also friends with your coworkers is very
create
important.
together
It's
and
true.
perform
And-
together, and if you go on tour, fucking live together.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
eat, sleep, and shit together.
That's hard. It's hard. I'd say on that topic especially, because we have
Really?
Shitting?
yeah, we can get into that. We can get into that. But
Ran out all the shit in here.
We got a story about that.
Let's go. Story time.
But I feel like especially one thing that we've learned when we were traveling a lot, like a year or two ago-ish, we were doing a lot of road shows, and prioritizing time for yourself is really important when you're on tour with a lot
Self-care.
of people. Like, there would be times where the three of these guys would go off and do some awesome adventure, and I'm like, I'm gonna sit at the hotel and just watch TV and take 5 hours to get ready for this show tonight. And it would be some of the time, like, as much as my FOMO was killing me in those moments, and I love the pictures and hate that I'm not in them, but like, those moments are what help
That's
keep
time
me
you
sane.
needed. Me
And I know
time.
we've all had our own
time.
variants of that throughout any time we've been on the road for extended periods of time. It's like you have to prioritize as much as you want to spend time with everybody all the time.
I was on the road with an artist last year, and the keyboard player that's going to be joining us today, I met him on that tour. We were in the same band, and we were out for 2 weeks with this artist, and the singer and the guitar player were dating, and they would stay up until 3 a.m.
That can always cause issue.
every night. No, and they were fine. They're cool. It had nothing to do with that. It was just they had this very specific routine where they would stay up till 3 a.m. dicking around on their phones, watching TV, just like, I'm dead serious. And me and the keyboard player were just like, we're on tour, we're in different cities, like we want to go see where we are. And they were super cool about it. They're just like, yeah, take the band, go, just make sure you're back by this time so we can get on the road, but like do whatever you want to do. And it was great because we would go off and see things.
Yeah.
And they'd wake up at 5 minutes before checkout time panicking. And it was just what they like to do, you know, and it just worked. And so we'd be in the lobby ready to go, and they'd be like, oh, we'll be down in 15 minutes. But it just worked because that's what they want to do. And we never were like, well, why don't you come out with us?
Yeah.
Why aren't you coming with us? Or vice versa. It was just, no, you guys want to do that? Go do it. Have fun, you know, and enjoy it. No judgment.
One thing too that for me I'd say is have a lot of patience, because
True.
working in a band, it's a family, and you have to. It's just like your brothers and sisters. When you see them 24/7, like the little shit's gonna bother you, the little shit, but you just have to find a way to, like, relax and have patience for working with other people that you see almost every fucking day of your life, you know. So that's the one thing that I learned a long time ago, because I've been in several bands, and we've been on tours in the same van. We all wanted to fucking murder each other, you know. And like one for like I did something and would piss off somebody else. It's just you gotta have patience.
Have patience.
And you can't take your frustration out on anybody else, because in the end of the whole day, it's like if you're mad about things, it's not because the band's probably it's because of you. You know, you got for things inside.
You gotta communicate.
Exactly. You have to communicate, and if you don't, it ain't gonna fuck.
And in that same vein, you have to be open to the communication and open to receiving that communication.
Yes. Can't be one-sided
patience goes both ways. Like, you have to be willing to hear things.
Renee you said it sounds like a marriage.
It's a business marriage. There's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Just no kids. And,
Yes. Oh, yeah. And honestly, that's like, respecting someone's creativity it's a hard thing sometimes.
We're a little different.
Good thing, but it's...
And so it's navigating any relationship, and there's going to be pros and cons, and you're going to have... It's like marriage, it's like anything. You have to learn to navigate that in a healthy way and reel your shit in. You know?
You do.
And it's a give. It can't be... People talk about it's give and take. No. It's give, and breathe. You know?
I like that.
I've never been more self-reflective than I've been the last 3 years just being in a band. Because, you know, you have to be. Or else, you know, you do bring your shit to the table, and that's really not cool.
It's true.
To the other people in the band, because it's like, it's not their thing. You know, if it's a personal thing you're bringing to the table, it's like, and you bring it to work through with them. Obviously, we help each other work through stuff all the time. Yeah. But you know, if you're just if you're dumping it on them, it's like that's when it becomes destructive, when you're not processing it on your own.
Yep.
You know?
I think there've been a lot of great bands throughout history that broke up because they couldn't learn the personal side of navigating through that bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
Now let's go back to the beginning. You said 2021. Were you guys gigging around Nashville? How did you meet?
My first gig in Nashville was with this guy right here. I ended up getting asked to help bail out somebody on Broadway by one of my friends who's here, a guitar player who I met in Boston when I went to school in Boston. And they just needed a girl to come and help co-front the stage with, and it was my first one, and I did not think I was ready for it by any means, but I did it anyway. Kevin was the drummer on it, and then it took about a month of
coercion
and convincing for me to finally
to quit First Watch.
To quit my job that I had for a very long time.
First, right?
Really?
Yeah, pretty much. And then that was me joining with Ryan and Kevin, because they had already just started forming something on their own.
We weren't really a band. I think we just called each other, hey, do you want to go make some money? And
really honestly just started as us working on Broadway together and being like, hey, we're having fun, like let's work another shift together because we all vibe well. And then that's kind of where it really snowballed, as we all just were like, hey, we vibe really well. And we all have similar tastes.
How did John
likings.
get in the mix?
Took him forever.
I don't think it was that funny of a story. No, it's basically I had come to Nashville at the peak of COVID, pretty much, which is probably not the smartest thing in the world, but also what?
Or was it?
Well, it turns out it was, because at the time I had a room in one of my friends' house who he was offering me for $450, which is unheard of in Nashville. I was like, all right, I got to take advantage of that. So I ended up just playing downtown with a couple of different bands, and then I think one random like Thursday or something, y'all called me for a fill-in, and then I just kind of played with them on and off for a while, and then eventually regularly, and that eventually just translated into me officially joining the group. And that's
So it's been about
here we are.
3 years. How did you come up with a name? What happened to spark that?
Yeah, one morning we were downtown. It honestly started as a joke. Is the kind of the weird thing about it. And that I think that like took a bit for us to kind of realize that this was just what we were going to be going forward. Because at the time we were just playing in party band scenario, like doing the cover bands, and we weren't writing music at the time. You know, we didn't just jump into writing music when we first met. And we were on stage at Whiskey Row on a morning. Is it Whiskey Row?
Clopen, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We played the night before, closing shift next door at Lucky Bastard Saloon.
Wow.
And then we opened the next morning at Whiskey Row, and that was just the days of taking every gig you can get, right? And
Yes, we did.
yeah, we all took shots of Jaeger together.
At like 10:30 in the morning.
On
I
a
think I got a
on a
picture of that
Tuesday.
somewhere on my phone.
Broadway.
Yeah.
if that doesn't scream Broadway, I don't know what else
Yeah,
does.
right. And we were just standing on stage, and we had another bass player named John at the time who played with us for a bit.
Yeah, that is a requirement. The bass player has to.
It's gotta be
It's
John.
not
If your name is not
Yeah.
John, it's gonna be
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
So I got very lucky in that regard.
I like the 2.0 update though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the new software, firmware, everything. It's
really great.
really working for me. So.
Like flushed
Well,
out.
would you rather have John or your original name Grayson? You know what I mean? It's like
Grayson.
all
huh?
in the name.
I don't know.
But so yeah, we were at Whiskey Row.
Yeah, and we were standing on the stage, and the way it works there is you're on the right side of the street. So when the sun comes up in the morning, it's blasting that side of the street. So it comes beaming in through the windows right onto the stage because the stage is right at the window. And we came in. It was a like November morning or something like that. So it was already getting cold, and we all wore our leather jackets because we were feeling cool. And we get up, and they're all like, "We're gonna have to wear our jackets on stage. It's so cold down here." And they're in their jackets on stage, and they're boiling like a shrimp on a pot. And they were like, they're standing up, and the bass player just gets up on the mics and it's like, "Yeah, I guess we gotta take these jackets off. It's just too hot for leather up here." And we're like, "I guess that's like that's really funny. We should should do
Like,
that."
that's a good band name.
And then we just started kind of like just developing stuff around it. We made a logo, and we were kind of like,
Kevin's house.
Jack and the candle.
yeah,
Threw one of our leather jackets on Kevin's red rug and lit some candles around it. We were like, first Instagram post, great.
If you
this
go
is content.
to our Instagram and you scroll all the way back to the beginning, you'll find that post
find
there. It's buried under meme after meme now. But yeah, so it's
It's
there.
there.
Yeah.
We've got one more question, but real quick before that, y'all also have talking about the Too Hot for Leather. Y'all have released recently a new song through the flame. What is it?
Nothing Left to Lose was our latest
The
one.
Flame
True.
song.
Surrender
Oh,
to
Surrender
the
to
Flame.
the Flame is up.
Surrender to the
Okay.
Flame.
Recent release.
And you
Yeah.
did the day you came up with a name. You surrendered to the
We
flame.
sure did.
We did.
Sure did.
Not
wrong
about that.
Yes, we did.
Let me ask you this: in your songwriting process, you talked about getting away to Gatlinburg, the cabin. Is there ever a jacuzzi in the mix?
There's
Yes.
always.
There is
We ain't
always a
fucking
jacuzzi.
going if there's not one.
What happens in the jacuzzi, dude?
Dude, the last one we were
It's
at
none
was
of your
broken.
damn business.
What happens in the
What
jacuzzi
goes
stays
in the jacuzzi stays in the
That's
jacuzzi.
true. The conversations to be had.
Actually, no. I think we're in a hot tub. I think we get real with each other.
Yeah.
I think we talk about some serious shit. It's just always like it's nothing bad. It's like, hey guys, how are we feeling? You're like yada yada yada, and just like
It's
some
just
real
steam-
shit.
the
Just
steam is
the real shit
cleansing
comes
us.
out, and we're just like, yeah,
Therapy.
cool. it's cool. It's a
Let's
vibe.
go work out our
It's
shit.
Which can
in the
birth
jacuzzi.
ideas. So
So being in a sweat lodge.
unfortunately, we're running up on time, and I want to make sure that we have time to get y'all over into the historic Studio C, which my friend Eddie Gore runs right now.
Eddie.
And
Eddie, baby.
y'all got a few songs for us. You want to tell us what we got on the lineup? What are they going to get to hear?
Yeah.
It's going to be in a part 2, so you guys are going to have to tune
Yeah.
into part 2 for their music.
Well, yeah, we got 4 songs that we're going to play for you. We've got a song that we just released called Nothing Left to Lose that we just released in October. That was back then. We have one that's coming out very, very soon called Never Again, literally like
Couple days.
in a couple of days. And then we've got a song that is currently unreleased and won't be released for a bit. So this is a bit of a sneak peek. You guys are getting to hear
Super
this.
sneak.
In the historic RCA Victor Studios.
Y'all are gonna- you're gonna-
Super sneak.
It's gonna be a great like little behind the scenes. You get to hear sneak peek. You get to hear it before everyone else does. And then we'll play the very first song that we released. Show me what you got. Tom.
Thanks, Too Hot for Leather.
Guys, Too Hot for Leather, I've thoroughly enjoyed y'all's interview. We're going to go get some live music. But before we roll out, we know the band name. We know that they can go to toohotforleather.com and find all of y'all's music and your touring dates and everything social media. I want your names, though.
Bass player. I am John from the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
Look at you. I'm Shannon. I sing things.
From?
From Woodstock, New York.
I'm Kevin Keith. I play drums. I'm from Midland, Michigan. Represent.
And I'm Ryan. I play guitar. I'm from Hebron, Kentucky, aka Cincinnati, Ohio. And we're Too Hot for Leather, and we're shooting the shit.
Cool. Good.
Cool.
Awesome.
Excellent.
That was fun.
Thank you so much.
Leroy. Thanks, Too Hot for Leather.